Uh-huh.
Welcome to Remember 64, where this week we're remixing a Smash hit. See what I did there? I'm so
Very
clever.
good.
Very good. Welcome to the show, everyone. My name is David Petrangelo, and look, I love me some deadly pink marshmallows that can suck up anyone else's ability. Heck, I'll even mess with a Pokemon that conjures lightning every once in a while. But now, I think I found my true calling. I found a niche Japanese hero with a name I didn't even know how to pronounce my entire life until last year. That's my go-to.
Oh man, I'm Jiggy Lookback and I'm here. I'm ready to bang. I mean smash. Let's smash.
Let's do it, sir. We are talking Smash Remix. And if anyone has not heard leading up to this episode, this is our first venture into playing a mod for a game. So if anyone doesn't know, Smash Remix is a mod from a group of creators that got together over the last several years. I think it was 2018 or 19. And they've built new levels, new characters, new items, all for the original N64 Super Smash Brothers. And it's available. It's in 1.5 now. And we thought, you know what? We're going to give it a shot. What a place to start than something like Smash Remix. Jiggy, this is fun, man. I still, I know I've said it before, but this idea is just fun to go through mods like this.
Yeah, and you better watch your eyes because all the characters and cosmetics and stages and everything you're about to see or hear, I guess, because technically it's a podcast, but you will see at some point is gonna burn your retinas out. It's overexposure to pure awesome. It's amazing.
Overexposure of awesomeness. There we go.
Yes.
It's really cool.
It radiates awesome.
It radiates. Damn. You're bringing the fire. I like it. And one of the reasons, or one of the bonuses about this episode, not only are we talking about something different, we are going to talk about the original Smash Brothers a little bit, and then we're definitely going to dig into all the different things that go on with Smash Remix. But we have a special guest that we're going to be queuing into the show in just a moment here. He goes by the Smashfather. That's right. He is the lead project manager, I guess you could call it, of Smash Remix. So one of the main creators, one of the main people that made this a reality. So he's going to sit with us in just a moment. We're going to talk about Smash Brothers itself, Smash Remix, and toss a few fun ideas around, and talk about our time playing it, because it's been pretty cool to dig into this. And I think we got lucky. 1.5 just came out, like a couple weeks ago. So we had this idea anyways, and then we saw that 1.5 came, and we went, well, it's a no-brainer. We have to do this now.
Yeah, we're doing it right now. It made it up the list. It was down. I don't know. It was still at the top. It was still like top 5 of mods we were going to do this year. But the second that dropped with the intro and the special character that got released, yep, we're down.
And that's just a little tease. We will talk about that video. We will, if you're watching the video version, I will be showing that video as well. We'll talk about it, because that video it's not just a trailer. It's not just like 3 minutes of like a movie trailer or something, or a game trailer. It's like 12 or 13 minutes of just awesomeness. It's so cool. There's so much going on. Lots to talk about in our chat. So you know what, Jiggy, let's just get right into it. Let's get our guest in here, and we'll talk some Smash Remix. We have our special guest. We have project leader for Smash Remix, the Smashfather, is joining us on Remember 64. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hello there.
Hello. How are you this fine evening?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good today. How are you all?
Yeah, we're hanging in there. We're
Fantastic.
hanging in there. Yeah, yeah, pretty good. Yeah, just your average evening, but with a decent amount of Smash Brothers in the last couple of weeks, which is awesome. So that's a good bonus. Just so we can sort of start from the beginning, I guess, in a way you could kind of put it that way. Smashfather, let's talk about your experience with Smash Brothers, the original Smash Brothers on N64, and maybe even the franchise moving forward, sort of from there. Did you grow up with it? Did you play it later? Was it one of those like main tentpole titles that you have with the N64? What's your story with the game?
Sure. So I think I would have started playing when I was like a fourth grader, which would have been in the 90s when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately when I saw it, I was enchanted. It was like right up my alley. And we just played it so much as kids. I mean, I was like 10 or something like that. And it was super fun. I loved it. And then, I was always into Smash, so I think I got Melee for my birthday, and we just played that all night, and that was a blast. And then Brawl happened.
And then
We still played it,
Brawl
but
happened.
it happened. And then I kind of for personal history, like I got busy with other things. I
Mhm.
went to law school, and I didn't really play Smash for a while. And then once I kind of settled into a new place, I turned back to 64 and started running tournaments, if you want to, stuff
That's
like that.
awesome.
Nice, nice. I mean, I like the game, but I definitely didn't play tournaments or get into tournaments. But that's awesome.
I definitely did play tournaments, but I didn't play
Oh,
tournaments until Wii U. I started with
okay.
Wii U and then moved into Ultimate, and then kids just got too good, and I'm out.
It's tough. Yeah, it's a tough racket.
Honestly, online games, I can't anymore. It's just it's not fair. It's not fair, man. I can't do
You
it.
know what's interesting? So first, actually, I do want to ask you, what is your favorite Smash game? If you had to say which one was your top one, is it 64? Is it Melee? Is it Ultimate? Which one do you think stands at the pinnacle aside from Smash Remix?
At this point, it's definitely 64.
Hmm.
There were times I might, kind of go back and forth between 64 and Melee. But at this point, I've committed so much of my time and just gotten so kind of enamored with 64. I'd say that's definitely it's the one I'm best at competitively for sure. But I think Melee is a great game too. I had a lot of fun with Ultimate. I thought that was fun too. Even though it's got its own things I don't necessarily love, but it's I think it's still a really fun game. So I mean, I've enjoyed every Smash I've played. I didn't really play Smash 4. Sorry, Wii U fans. Um,
Hey, you know, Smash 4, you played Ultimate, you played Smash 4, roughly. People are
Okay.
going to hate that I said that,
Okay.
but it's very similar. Ultimate's just the better version of 4, in my
Hmm.
opinion. Granted, there are a few modes that I did like in 4 that didn't transfer over. I spent a lot of time in 4, actually. Um, but interesting enough, I did a poll on my YouTube channel and had, I don't know how many hundreds of people voted in this poll. Brawl was a big contender,
Really?
which actually I agree. Brawl is probably my least favorite. The subspace emissary was a cool idea, but tripping, like
Oh yeah.
I freaking hate tripping. I freaking hate the hammer losing its top. Like just the dumbest additions. It had
it's
some of the
got
smartest additions, but ugh,
it added King DDD. That was nice.
that was cool.
We were
And
all happy
Wolf
about that.
and Sonic. But I mean,
Sonic, that was cool.
Yeah. It's not all
But yeah,
bad. It's not great, but it's not
no,
all bad. Yeah.
it's not all bad. Still was fun.
Yeah.
It's not fun, but
Yeah.
it's like, well,
Right.
it's kind of a downgrade, but
yeah.
I mean, so now there's such a massive roster. I'll go first on this question, so I don't have to. So you guys can think about it if you have to. But just on the 64, the original 64 version before Remix came around and really expanded things here. I'm gonna ask you guys what your favorite character was or who your go-to was. Sometimes that's different, especially competitively. For me, I was always comfortable with Kirby. I don't know what it was, just always the case. Going back and playing it over the years, he's still like probably just what I'm comfortable with because I always played Kirby back then, but I've gotten used to playing quite a bit of Mario as well. Jiggy, what about you? What are your
On
go-tos?
64 exclusive, we're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
My main growing up was probably, it's a tough one. I think I'd say Fox. I think I was a Fox
Oh,
player.
okay.
Um, I did play a lot of Kirby as well,
Hmm.
but going back to it now, I'm a Donkey Kong player for sure.
Oh, crazy, cool. Actually,
Yeah,
Samus is one that I actually got used to too as time went on. I like Samus.
yeah,
I like her
I
moveset. Yeah.
I just like the combos, and I feel like I
Hmm.
can do pretty well as Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. What about you, sir?
For me, it's always been, I mean, since I was a kid, Pikachu has always been my favorite character in 64,
makes
and
sense.
I'm still my pretty much only character I can play well. So it's yeah, it's Pikachu
Yeah,
through and
it
through.
sometimes it's muscle memory too, right? I think that's the thing with me and
Mhm.
Kirby, where it's like every time I press down B, I know what's gonna like I get it. You know, it's so
Yeah.
simple. And most characters like that too, but something about his where it's like, nope, it's just a straight drop and you're turned into one of several different items. Okay, let's dig into Smash Remix. Before we brought you on the show, we were just talking about how the fact that we wanted to explore mods on Remember 64 this year. We wanted to get into a couple of games. Every couple of episodes, we're going to sort of dig into different mods and try it. And then the second we saw that 1.5 was released, we said this thing is hitting the top of the list. We're doing it now. Not only that, but Smash just had an anniversary a couple of days ago, as of this recording, which is great.
Oh
As
yeah, I
far as
forgot
its
about that.
yeah, as far as its release goes, so that's awesome. All right, Mr. Smashfather, how does something like this even happen? 1.5, 1.0, 0.5, whatever the version is, how do you even I, look, I don't know how to make games. I don't know how to make mods. I love games, but I am so far out of the realm of understanding. I'm so impressed with the fact that anybody can make anything like this. How does this get started and how do you get to be like a project leader on something like this?
So it happened pretty organically, and some of it is a little bit of fortune on my part. So, I started running tournaments here in Houston, and I just wanted to find ways to attract people to my events, basically. So I started off with doing like cheat Game Shark stuff, like, oh, we can play with like Metal Mario or like Final Destination, just doing random stuff, and then like suddenly Subdrag, who's made something called the GoldenEye editor, and you could make stages for Smash 64. And so I started doing that. I made Houston themed stages, like you could play at like the Astrodome and stuff like that, just to get people to come out to my events for my tournaments. And I started digging into things and getting more interested in modding more and doing more than just the stages and seeing what had been done. And I saw there had been people who kind of had tinkered around with making characters, but never went all the way. People had experimented, people had thought about it, people had wrote things up, but never really went all the way. And I thought, well, I'm gonna try. Now I had no experience. I had never coded anything. I had no artistic ability. Um, I was just a guy. I was
Just a
just a
guy
guy,
with a
and
dream. It's just
yeah. And I just started working on it. I got some pieces. I was connected very early on with a person named Frey in the 64 community, who's a very big name.
Hmm.
And he was just, I couldn't have done it without him. He advised me on he basically taught me how to code. He kind of really showed me how to hack things and how to get into the code and all that. And he helped me work with the original system with which we coded. If you ever watched the old trailers, the way we used to make models and everything was was very rough and it was very hard and didn't look very good. But he helped me work through that, and through that, even though it wasn't beautiful, it just attracted other people to actually work with me. I reached out to different folks. What I mean, I was just a guy making it at first, but
Right.
once I had an actual work product, I could reach out to people like our lead artist, Soap. who is insanely talented, and we're fortunate to have, as well as many other of our artists, coders, like
Yeah, because
Mario
it's
Reincarnate.
a big
All these
team.
people helped
It's
us.
a big team. Like
Yeah.
obviously it like you said it grows over the years, but it's like yeah, you can be a project leader, but this is a huge team effort. It's amazing.
Yeah, I
Just to
would be nothing without my team.
Yeah.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, I was watching it. Or I had just before we hopped on, I played through Smash Remix again and got to the credits. And once I got past all the original credits, I was like, okay, I want to see how many more come on. And it went forever, man. It was like, but what I loved about it, okay, what I loved about it is I did click on them, and a lot of them just say funny things,
Oh, I
Yeah,
right?
didn't do that. No way. Really?
Yeah. I was clicking
yeah,
through
we do
one of
put stuff.
them. I wish I could have. I wish I was recording or could have gone back because one of them had like a. I don't know if it was like a code or something, and I was like,
Yeah,
son of
Stennis has his in Morse code, I think.
yes.
I forget what it's. I honestly don't remember what it says,
That's
but
I
I know it's
awesome.
in
saw it and
Morse
I was like,
code.
no, I needed to figure that out, but
That's
it
amazing.
passed. I'd have to beat
Yeah,
it again.
as a clue for fans, if you want to look into it, it's in Morse code. I'm sure if you could figure it out, but it's in Morse code.
Amazing. Yeah. So it's this amazing group of artists and coders and everything. And I mean, this isn't something that we just said like, 1.5 was just released in early 2024. This has been going on for years. How do things progress? Like, is it just? I mean, you sort of mentioned how things get started as far as working with the team and all those types of things. Also, the video that I'm showing, if anyone's watching the YouTube version, I just got shot with a golden gun. So there, like, lots of really cool ideas in this, by the way. So we'll get to that.
Hmm.
But I thought that was hilarious, a great addition. How do you? Yeah, how do things get going? Like, how do you decide like, yep, this is ready to get released. Let's do this. Let's add this character. Let's add that stage. Like, obviously it's a group effort and stuff, but how does that sort of thought process happen with something like this?
Well, the nature of that really evolved over time. As far as getting this stuff together, I mean, honestly, you just ask people. What
Right.
people don't realize if you're trying to build something is just like ask for help. I seriously will work as long as you show that you're willing to work yourself. I mean, just ask people for help. And I mean, a lot of the people on my team, I just literally went up to them. It's like, I like your work. Would you like to work with me? And that gets easier the more credit you have, the more stuff you do. But
Yeah,
how
makes
does
sense.
working on actually getting a mod, like how much you want to do with this, like at the getting out like 1.1 or 1.5, like what do we want to put in there? You come up with a game plan, and it's not going to end up exactly how you originally envisioned. And you think of like you obviously want to have a character because that's what gets people going. That's what gets the people wild. They want their character. But you add other things too that kind of support that and make it interesting. And it's challenging because you want to give yourself a realistic goal.
Right.
Because a lot of times with mods, you give yourself unrealistic expectations, and you don't, and people won't keep themselves accountable. You want to be like, let's get on a good pace, get things done. This is our timeline. That's the challenging part. So, but you try to have like you don't want to go too far. So like a character or two is good. You start adding all this stuff, it's way out of your skill zone. You're gonna find yourself in murky waters.
Right.
So interesting to play off that. So as far as content wise in this game, we have new characters. I didn't count out exactly how many, but we have new characters. There are even more new stages. Like I was really blown away with stages. Like you
there's
have to go,
there's
you have to
dozens of
cycle
them.
through the right. There's so many. You got new items, new music tracks. Just so much new modes, new game modes entirely. Just so much is packed into this. So my question on that, we did an episode, specifically an episode about GoldenEye and how people are going to ring me out for this because I don't remember what the number was. 17 megabytes was the total like capacity of the game. That's how big the game was. Um, is that something you need to consider as far as because it
Yeah,
is
I
a
think
mod, it is running on like emulators or EverDrives or whatnot.
Yeah, we're I think we might be bumping up against a limit possibly. People have been mentioning it because like I said, we set like a size for like the ROM, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
when you get the ROM, well we don't give you the ROM, but we give you like the little
A
the X
patch.
delta
It's like a patch.
basically.
Yeah, yeah.
When you get that, it tells you all the changes you need to make, and one of that is setting the ROM size. So I think currently, I think ours literally says like 64
It's
MB,
Yeah.
it's
and like that
exactly
might be
64.
as
Yeah.
yeah, that might be as big as she can go.
Yeah.
I'm not. Don't quote me on that one, but
Hmm.
that might be that might be as big as it gets. And after that, you might run into hardware issues with like how big the 60. It would just be random. Like 64 megabytes isn't a real. It's nothing to do. I know it's a Nintendo 64, so it sounds like it should be how big it should be, but it's entirely irrelevant. But it might actually be the maximum size we can get our file system to. So it hasn't been really a big concern, and if we ever really were concerned, we could find ways to work with it. But yeah, I mean, there's an upper limit to how big these things could be on if you want to stay on hardware, which we
Right.
do.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's the charm, right? That's the cool thing about this is that it can run on the actual hardware, and like I play it on my actual 64, and there's just something about it. It almost provides legitimacy to it. You know what I mean? It's got this aura about it that you're like, wow, this is exactly what I wanted Smash Bros to grow into. Like it's how I imagined the sequel before Melee was a thing. You
Oh,
know, like in my head, I'm like, oh, just more
100%.
characters. Like Conker's in it. Like Conker. Oh my gosh.
You know what? That's actually a good way to put it too, because like I did the same thing. I had it on the actual hardware with the controller, everything. It felt like sure I'm sitting in front of a different screen than I used to. It's not a CRT that I'm playing this thing on, but it it just feels like the real game. It doesn't feel like this is like I think it's impressive on its own that it doesn't feel like it's a mod. It doesn't feel like it's something that was made 20 years later, 20 plus years later. Like it just feels like the game and what it is
Hmm.
supposed to be. And I think that's a testament to yourself and everyone else that's been creating this over the years. It's man, it's so it's so crazy because like you said before, Jiggy, there's also all these different modes. Is it all-star mode? I keep forgetting the name exactly of what it
Yeah.
is.
There's remix. There's all star.
Yeah.
There's a bonus. The race to the finish is different. I
Yeah.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
All these things are there. Like for example, the all-star mode is you're going through the roster of characters and you're fighting all of them with only a couple of chances to heal up, and eventually you're fighting in pairs and all that. All this stuff would be so crazy back in the day to just be like, okay, who can get the furthest? And I'm just sitting here on my own, just sucking at the game. Honestly, I'm not that good at it, but having a great time with it. It's I are these modes like what's sort of like the largest? My question sort of around this, my long-winded way of asking it is like, is it challenging to create new modes as far as things go, or is it more like the characters and balance and things like that? What's sort of like the biggest challenge,
Hurdle.
I guess? Hurdle,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so modes, like, so the first time I made a mode probably was kind of difficult.
Hmm.
Just getting into the weeds, understanding. First time you do anything, it's challenging.
Sure, yeah.
All subsequent modes, I'd say, aren't honestly that hard, but it's more frustrating. Just the nature of the code is like, it's like, gosh, it feels like when I'm making a new mode, it's like I have to, like, you're fighting yourself because you make code that when you first start writing code your code isn't quite up to par, and so you get to fight your old code and revise it. You learn new things you didn't know about the general code, and so the modes, I'd say, they're not the hardest thing. I mean, the most time consuming, the biggest feature that takes the longest, most drain on our resources would be animations. Making nice animations that look good, that feel appropriate. That takes a long time. Takes tons of revisions. That's going to be the longest, the biggest that, and of course, just coding takes long too. Because coding also, because you can make moves that feel really weird and don't feel good, don't feel era appropriate. but you gotta make them feel right, make sense. Like we have. I'm soon going to be making a kind of cut content thing for a remix, and there's a lot of moves we just had to cut because like they didn't feel right or they didn't work with 64 as well as we hoped. So it's like, yeah, I would say the biggest time sink is animations. Most challenging thing, the biggest commitment is just making the character. Making a character is probably the biggest task. There's so much to do, so much love and hard work goes into it. The character is the biggest thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Animation is the biggest part of it.
I could see that. That makes sense because like what we were just saying is like it feels like you're playing this game. Like this feels like what this game was supposed to be. Whatever it was supposed to be. It's not like they did a bad job originally. We're not slighting the actual original title. But it just feels right. So whatever effort and time that everyone's put into it, I think it's paid off. So sorry, Jiggy,
Yeah,
you were gonna
for
say.
sure.
Yeah.
And the whole, as far as the character models themselves, like they feel like you mentioned, and I love that they're era relevant, right?
Right.
So they look how I imagine they would look if they were running on the original Smash, not necessarily from their game. Banjo being released was very interesting because I looked at him and I was like, yes, this seems like the perfect translation from Banjo-Kazooie to Smash Bros on the N64 because you think the models get a little more low poly. Like it meshed so well. None of the characters stand out like, oh, this one's really high poly. This one looks significantly better or more detailed than any of the others. They all feel genuinely like they could have been on the original 64 version of Smash, which is awesome. I love that.
Is
And
there?
Sonic
That's
too.
a really challenging balance because obviously you want things to look good, but you had to not only make it look good for the 64, but like there's a specific style to the way they make things look in Smash Bros. And of course, it is a lower poly because you do have to deal with the console's limitations. If you make a high poly character, they're literally going to slow down the game. Like Bowser, when he first was released, he was a little bit too high poly, so we'd have competitive players complain about him. So we had to work on his model. So like, there's a lot of things to balance when making the models, and models aren't the hardest part, but they are a part that requires a lot of work. We always joke like when the model's done, we're like, "Well, guys, we're halfway there," because the model is honestly people who don't know will think like, here's the model, like we can just make a character. It's like the model is probably the least important part,
Right.
but it is. We do have to put a lot of effort into that too to make it look right and make it function right within the game. And Banjo was a challenging one because the way the textures work in Banjo Kazooie, the way that looks, it just it wouldn't work for 64. It wouldn't look right. It's too complicated. So we kind of looked at how DK's fur
Yeah,
works, and
that's what I
we
was gonna say.
kind of looked at that, but like we didn't obviously just make DK's fur. We made it so it's Banjo's and it was unique. But you have to look at what exists in 64 and what would work, and it can be challenging to balance all those things and balancing what you want, because you want everything to look good but also play good. So it can be a balance.
What's interesting too is the fact that some characters, it's really obvious when you felt like their moveset in a future game, like in Ultimate or Brawl. I'm thinking of Wolf in particular. Like the moveset is fairly similar, but then you have Banjo, who I actually main Banjo in Ultimate. So going to this, he was dramatically different. His moveset was more Kazooie based, I'd say, than Tui. Although he does have the uh, I, not the Beak Buster, but the drill. I don't know why I'm
Oh,
blanking
yeah,
on
I
it.
don't. Yeah,
But it's
The
just
drill bill, is that what
interesting.
we? I
Yes,
honestly don't.
drill
Is it
bill.
drill
Thank you,
bill?
yeah.
drill
That's
bill.
it.
That's it. Thank you. But it's just really interesting how it's kind of like you pick and chose elements that you're like, yeah, that works. That feels good, and then you completely changed others. And I think you made Sonic way better. Like
Oh,
Sonic
better. Yeah.
feels
Oh,
way
okay.
better in Smash Remix than he does in any other Smash game. He has more than just spin dash and homing attack. It's amazing.
Yeah, that was a
I
big
found
effort for
his
us
kit pretty fun.
because Sonic
Yeah.
is usually viewed as annoying. A
Yeah,
lot of people always complain about him. So our main, game designer, Frey, he took, oh, he really worked to make him not annoying, but also still a good character, which he is. So yeah, that took some time, and we didn't want to make him be a nuisance with his homing attack and with just doing stupid stuff that makes people annoyed with him. We avoid that as best we could.
yeah. He's got the best meteor smash. Just
Oh
in
yeah, that thing we like. Yeah, that's
I
that's a
love
funny
that.
thing.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to add that. Now people will say we took that from Project M, but it's not true.
Sonic Battle.
Yeah, I played Sonic Battle,
Yeah.
and I was like, I know we should add this move. That'd be so great. And everyone was just like, oh, like Project M, and you're like, gosh, damn it, because
People don't know.
Project M. I don't know if you guys have watched the episode of South Park where like Simpsons did it. Every time on the episode of South Park, they're like, oh, the Simpsons have already done that
Right,
concept.
right.
Project M is the Simpsons to us, where it's just like, oh, Project M did that. It's like, gosh, damn it, come on, man.
Yeah.
He's very good. I had a good time playing around with Sonic for sure. I played him a bit in Ultimate, but he I couldn't tell that it just to try. I mean, it's such a huge roster. I got to try everybody.
Oh yeah.
As far as the characters go, I mean, it's impressive how many are added over the last. I guess it's been about 5 years now that things have been going, but are the decisions just like, hey, we like this character, let's try and explore that? Is it coming from outside and like, oh, this one seems like it's getting the buzz, let's try, we gotta get Banjo-Kazooie in there, oh, we gotta get Sonic in there, like, is that decision again, like you said, is it just organic like other stuff has been, or is it more fine-tuned than that, if that's the way to say it?
So it's evolved over time. Originally, it was really limited to what was our capabilities, which were
Sure.
far more limited originally. So, we were doing clones, and it was kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't really code that much, and, we didn't have animators really at the time. Like, you were really limited. And as we've gotten better and more skilled, it's like less about our capabilities because we can kind of do what we want. So it started off being like very capability based, like, okay, I make Ganondorf, he's a clone, I could do that by myself, or like, Dr. Mario and those kind of characters. It was kind of like, well, this is where we have capabilities. Your capabilities are always a factor, but later on it became less of a thing we really had to worry about. And then it kind of became about like, well, what? Once we narrowed in on that we wanted to be, it wasn't always that I wanted to be kind of a ode to the Nintendo 64.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, I just wanted to make like cool competitive characters. That was my original thought, like good competitive characters for 64, or just something kind of like that. Just make it more interesting. But as time went on, it's like, well, okay, the Armada is kind of an ode to the 64, and what characters do we need to add? So, getting where we're getting our roster now, we're kind of, at the end of things. I feel I was like, we need to do Banjo. This is a character that, personally, I did not play a lot of Banjo-Kazooie. I'm sorry, folks. I know I should have. I played it a little bit, but I didn't own it. We didn't have a lot of 64. We didn't have a lot of games back then. I had to rent games. I was not rich. I'm sorry. We played like
I'm
the same
sorry.
games 50,000 times over. So I played a lot of Smash Bros. And Mario 64, but I knew Banjo had to be done. It's like Banjo is a must-have at the end, and like there are other ones that I just thought like this is a 64 character. Conker is just so 64. He's 64. He had to be done. And plus, he had so many different things. You got to think of like, does this character have a cool move set that we can make interesting? Conker had so many things available to him with all his weapons.
His stuff is
We
so
knew he could
fun,
pull
man.
something out.
It's so fun.
You think,
I love it.
so like characters like Goemon and Marina and Banjo, it's just like, wow, that character feels so 64 and so of the era, and we can think of a creative move set that let's do it. That's what it became at the end, where originally it was like, what do we have the capabilities for? And ultimately, as a team leader, you got to think of like, what I can't just be unilaterally. Well, there have been times, but unilaterally, I can't just be like, I want to make this, so we're gonna do it. I have to have the support of my team. If my artist doesn't want to make it, or my animators don't want to animate it, or my coders don't want to code it, like it's not gonna happen. So it is kind of organic in that sense. We don't really care what other people want. Uh, if you ask for characters, it's not something we're considering.
Yeah, yeah.
But we do think about like what makes sense. If it's gonna make people happy, that's always nice.
Hmm.
But we really make the mod in a sense for ourselves, to be honest. But we just think about what's an ode to the 64 is what we've been doing lately. What makes sense there, and
So
what's fun? What's going to be a fun character
Sure.
to play
Yeah.
as?
Yeah.
so then the question turns into, are there characters that you wanted to put in and decided against? Because you mentioned cut content, you don't have to spoil it if that's something coming up. But if you want to name like one or something,
If you want to, like,
um,
if you want to,
yeah, if you want to just throw something out
yeah.
there. And then the other thing is, you reaching the limit. You're at 64 megabytes. We're at max capacity here, right? Is there plans for any more updates? Is this the end? Is this like everything minor after this, like no more characters, or is there a stance on that? Just what are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, so we kind of leave it open ending, and if there's going to be any more updates, it's just going to be one of those things like it could happen, it might not.
Mhm.
Right now, I feel fulfilled where I am at. I'm kind of going to be taking a step back from things and more of a, I don't know, an ownership role, a CEO type role. I have
Hmm.
kind of put some other people in charge, and I'm kind of letting my team decide how they want to continue. So, will there be another, addition? There'll be bug fixes for sure. Like
Right.
there'll be like you can count on certain things being fixed. There might be a 1.5. There will definitely be something beyond a 1.5.
Right.
Now, will there be, new characters, new stages? You'll have to wait and see. I can't give you an answer there. That's just going to depend on what the team's feeling and if I feel it's appropriate.
Cool. Can't wait till
So
Rayman's added.
we'll see what that. Now you mentioned to cut characters. I was thinking, what's a small one I could throw. One that I'm going to speak on this in the video, but like one that this is random. It's gonna be random for people. That we really wanted the early days was Raichu.
Oh,
Me and
Okay.
one of the artists on the team are just big Raichu fans. And we were doing clones, so we thought it made sense. And he had this model for Raichu that was just so good.
nice.
And you know how Pikachu has those birthday hats?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jigglypuff has the bows. He made we went, since he's kind of like Lieutenant Surge is kind of like a lieutenant, right? He's a military guy, and Raichu's kind of associated with Lieutenant Surge. We gave Raichu a beret, and it looks so cool.
Oh,
He was this like special operations Raichu, and ultimately we didn't go that route because the tail would have been such a thing to animate.
Oh.
okay.
You make a clone, you're hoping to reuse animations, right? That's the
Right.
big benefit. But with Raichu, with his tail, you really don't get much of a benefit because you have to. That tail is so different from Pikachu's tail. You have to reanimate the whole thing,
Yeah.
so it wasn't very valuable. It
Mm.
wasn't like a value add to do Raichu, and Raichu just never came to be. Although one of the Melee mods made Raichu afterwards, which I thought was pretty cool. I never played it, but I was like, oh, someone else made Raichu. That's cool.
Nice.
Uh,
That
but we
shared
considered it at one
shared
point.
love for the Pokemon. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I guess that's
Awesome.
something too, right? Like Pokemon in general. I mean, yeah, there's a few, and there's definitely more than a few at this point in the later Smash games. But like, there's literally hundreds you could choose from. Like,
Oh yeah.
but
Yeah.
but like you said, it has to make sense for the 64. It has to make sense for that era. All those decisions that you guys have made, that the team has made, as far as making it a reality, is it's awesome that all of that stuff is taken into consideration. Is what I gotta say. I guess basically. Um, oh man, I suck at this game so bad. I'm watching like
I'm watching your gameplay too. I'm
I'm
just
so
laughing.
bad. I think this was like one of the first. This might have been the first time that I picked it up. I want to say about the characters too. I'm very. There's something about the fact that Goemon is in it, and Marina. Something about those two feels even extra this era because we haven't seen either of those since, if I'm not mistaken. So, um, and I think Marina has one of the most unique move sets.
Yeah.
Because like
Mhm.
in her game, like in Mischief Makers and in this, there's a lot of like grabbing, or you can the way the projectiles work, and she has the pot, and she has her jumps are different, like all of that stuff feels so her, which is amazing. And I really got used to playing Goemon. He is now probably my go-to. I don't know what it is, but his move set just clicked with me. I don't know if you had like a favorite, Jiggy, while you were playing through it, and as far as the
Oh
new.
yeah, Sonic.
So it was Sonic for the new ones.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, I loved his meteor kick. Every
Okay.
time I landed it, I was just like, hell yeah.
Yeah, Goemon's thing felt I think he felt a little bit familiar in some ways. Like he has some projectile, he has some close quarter stuff, he has his cloud that he can fly on that saves. I use that quite a bit because again, I'm not very good at this. But he's fun, and he's such a goofy character. Like he's such a randomly goofy character. I
Yeah.
find that it's always fun to sort of embody that. Um, Mr. Smashfather, is there a particular? Do you have? You don't have to say favorite because it's hard to pick a favorite. It's hard to pick a favorite kid. You know what I mean? But was there or is there a favorite in the new group at least?
It depends on what you're looking for. So I have now. I was never a huge Ganondorf fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like people, I've heard people say like, "Oh, this some Ganondorf fanboy runs Smash 64." I was not a huge Ganondorf fan, but I became one just because he kind of has emotional significance. He's the first character I ever made. That was such a triumph for me, and then he's kind of to me, he's our mascot. Ganondorf is the mascot of Smash Remix, so I have a deep affection there. As far as who I'm good at playing with, who's of the remix cast, I'm not bad with going on, I guess, but like Bowser and DDD, I like the big guys, so I can
Mm-hmm.
play with them pretty well. Um, Surprisingly well, considering I barely have time to play.
Yeah.
But you know, those are really good. I'm a huge Sonic fan. It's hard to, yes, once again, I'm not gonna give you a true answer because
Yeah,
I
yeah, no,
just
that's totally fair. Yeah.
I'm a huge Sonic fan. That was a huge thing for me to add him.
Nice.
I was definitely, vehemently. I'm forced just to have classic Sonic. I know members of the
Yes.
team really liked Sonic Adventure Sonic, and that's fine. Sonic Adventure came out before Smash Bros, which like I was there. Like I was live. I was experienced it, and it doesn't seem right to me. It didn't seem like it was real, but it happened.
Hmm.
Like it came like Sonic Adventure came out before Smash Bros, and I don't believe it. But that's what history is, I guess. And so I was like, fine, we can have Sonic Adventure Sonic, but we have to have classic Sonic.
Yeah.
So I mean, I love Sonic too. There's a lot of characters to love, and Goemon was big for me. Goemon was kind of the one where I was like, we're making Goemon.
Nice.
And but then all everyone started playing his games and fell in love with them along the way,
Right.
and that's how we got Ebi Sumaru. Like I had no interest in adding Ebi Sumaru, but the team fell in love
He's
with
such a goof. It's
Goemon and
amazing.
Ebi Sumaru, so Ebi Sumaru, came into reality.
Yeah, especially in
Uh,
the 64 games. That guy is just hilarious. He's just so goofy. It's amazing.
yes, definitely.
I know the Goemon characters from I think it's called is it called Legend of Mystical Ninja for Super Nintendo? That I had that game growing up, not
Oh yeah.
not knowing anything about it, not knowing it was even a series. I had no idea. And it was co-op, so me and my brother could play it together. We probably never really knew what we were doing because it's not a simple game for like a 5 and an 8-year-old to be playing, but I was like, "Oh, I know this. I know this guy." Like when I got a 64 and realized that there was more characters and it was still the same. I just there's something about it about that franchise, about that series that it's a very charming addition in my opinion to Smash Remix. So um
I
yeah.
also think I also think that the characters having alternate skins that just change them
Mm-hmm.
completely is awesome. I love that you can do the entire Star Fox team. You can be Slippy, you
Oh
can be
yeah.
Falco, you can be Peppy. The fact you can switch between Giga Bowser and Bowser, even that's super cool. Um, Supersonic, Sonic to Supersonic.
Yes.
I love stuff like that, and I feel like you really gave quite a few options for every character. Like you can even do like the polygon versions the fighting polygon team. Just really cool. And Bowser's fighting polygon team looks like Godzilla, and it's really sweet.
Oh, that's the intent. Yeah, it was that
Yeah,
was definitely an intent. There to get that Godzilla reference in there. And yeah, I almost wanted to give people, you can see that with the character, you've seen the character menu where you have so many options. You can play as a
Yeah.
giant, you can play with
Mm-hmm.
random hitboxes. To me, it's just like, it's all about letting people play the way they want to play,
Yeah.
unless that involves turning on tap jump. Um, but
That's the one.
uh,
That's the last thing. No, not happening. Yeah.
it's never going to happen, not as long as I'm alive. Uh,
Yeah.
but we just want to give options to people to play the way that they want to play. And so we have all these zany options, honestly, an overwhelming amount of options.
It
Just
is
because it's
quite
going to
a
be
bit.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was never a kid. You mentioned Game Shark way at the beginning here, but you mentioned, Game Shark and those types of products that were out back in the day. I never had one of those. I had a couple friends that did, and that was it. But I was never like the person to even just have a strategy guide for a game. I just played the game, and like that was kind of it, right? But you don't need a Game Shark with Smash Remix. You can play it, and it's got, like you said, an overwhelming amount of options. And to sit down, like we played this solo, but to sit down and play Smash Remix with friends, which I fully plan to do at some point, is just going to be like they probably won't even they don't have 64 ROMs available or an EverDrive like I do, and definitely don't have an N64 podcast, so they're not sort of watching all these things like I am. But I'm going to show this to them, and they are going to be blown away. I still have a couple friends that I played this game with back in the day, and I know that they're gonna just they're gonna lose their shit. Just plain and simple, they're gonna lose their shit. I know they are, and it's gonna
What
be so
you
much fun.
definitely should do is, I don't know if you guys know this or not, because this has been for like a patch or two, is you want to do one player mode with one of your friends playing it as a CPU. I don't know if you've seen that option.
No, I did not see
I
that
didn't
option.
If you
either.
press, yeah, basically I think you press Z. This is a mode I designed. If you
Oh,
press
yeah.
Z, when you're on a 1P mode, it could be regular 1P, it could be remix 1P.
Right.
You'll hear the laugh of Master Hand, and your friend will be able to play as a CPU in a one player mode, and like that's a blast for people to play through.
That's awesome. Wow.
If one, I would advise against doing very hard mode. Your friend's going to be a lot better, most likely than the CPU. So don't make it too hard on yourself, but it's really fun to play as.
Actually, Jiggy,
That's awesome.
you were saying before that you found the game to be fairly difficult. I don't know if it's just muscle memory is not there in the same way. Me too. I mean, I said I stink at this game, but I think I was kind of always not that great.
I was particularly like one-on-one. I was having no problem.
Yeah.
Like all the fights were fine, but going up against Giga Bowser specifically, and the giant, and I had a giant variation of Sonic playing through the remix mode. I found it very hard. Like very hard. Like I mean, I was getting obliterated.
Yeah, the intention with Remix 1P was to make a harder mode than the original like 1P mode, was to give people more of a challenge. So like it's at least scaled up. We've tried to balance it more and make it a little bit more less brutal, but maybe there's some more room to gain there. But yeah, the goal is to make Remix 1P like at least a stage or two up from the difficulty of the original game, just to give people who've been playing forever an additional challenge, basically.
What?
So yeah, if you're on very easy, don't feel bad, because like it's more like you're on, easier normal mode.
I wasn't.
Yeah. Don't feel bad. If you play very easy on Remix 1P, you're really playing what would be like the equivalent of like easy or normal mode on 1P mode, the regular 1P. So
That makes sense.
the intent was to give a new challenge there.
Yeah, I think it's not that the game definitely does not feel unbalanced at all. For me, I felt like, oh my god, I forgot how to do this the way I'm supposed to. Like it took me a few rounds to really be like, oh yeah, shit. Like I'm not playing Kirby, like that's kind of where
I think
sitting with
I
it.
think part of that too is you have to get used to when you're playing the newer games, there's a lot of frame buffer between your button
Mhm.
presses, your input presses, and I feel like you go back to the 64 or even Melee, like it's probably even more particularly Melee. It's just things are so tight, and
Mm.
there's no buffer for that. It's like you gotta nail it, right?
Yeah, I mean it's the original game. That's what this is. That's what Remix feels like we've said and everything. So it's yeah,
You
you're
just
right.
gotta get good.
Just got to get good, which I I probably won't. I'm not in that skill set anymore, man. The kids these days and their reflexes.
Let me tell you, kids these days know nothing because I
Right?
just went back and I played Earthworm Jim and I played it as a kid, but I recently just replayed it. I don't remember it being that hard. It was like
I always remember those games being difficult.
the second one was fine, but the
Was it?
first one I
Okay.
was like I was I was so mad. I was so mad. I kept dying and it was like the stupidest things and then later I'd be like, "Oh, I forgot that's how you do that." But it was just it's so unforgiving.
Yeah, those 2D games would always be like that. All right, I think that if anyone has a chance to play Smash Remix, 1.5 is out now. We have some new characters. There's obviously updates that are going to be
Some
coming.
just a few.
Just a few. What I'm saying is it might continue, but even if it doesn't, even if nothing else is added to this, it is an exceptional feat of programming and creation. Um, Smashfather, honestly, congrats. This is amazing.
Thank you
I
very
just have to
much.
tell you that.
Thank you.
Um, you know, if the team hasn't listened to this or if they haven't heard it recently, they deserve all the credit as well because
Yeah.
it's such a great game. And it's not just a great mod. It's a great game. And I think that is a huge difference. It doesn't feel like, you know, a few people got together and just decided, yeah, let's slap some, you. There is work put into this. There's creativity. There's craft. It is really, really something special. It's hard, I think, to make something feel like you are sitting on your couch only 4 feet away from your TV with your original console back in the day. Yet you're not doing that at all. Like it's very impressive. So kudos to you and the team.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Um,
Love it.
yeah.
I
So
gotta I gotta address this. I
yeah,
gotta address this though.
do it.
We had the YouTube thing was figured out, right?
Oh,
That whole
right.
spiel because I was mad for you. I was so mad because that Banjo version 1.5 trailer was incredible.
Oh my God, it's
And
amazing. Oh my God,
I
it's so
went
good.
back to rewatch it and then saw it was down and then followed the whole Twitter spiel and I was just like, what why? It makes no
Yeah, I mean,
sense.
I can give a brief summary of the situation.
Sure.
Basically, now this part most people don't know is a few months ago, randomly, our Sonic trailer just got taken down.
Mm.
And we tried to appeal it, and we also kind of did like a Twitter push where we asked people, and they just said, no, it's no big deal. Like, we reviewed your appeal, and like, basically it's like they out of nowhere said like, oh, this is like what did they say, oh, dangerous. It said it was like dangerous content, and then we appealed that and they instantaneously they rejected it. We did the Twitter push for Sonic to come back and they said like, no, we were right, we're totally right. They did the same thing with the Banjo trailer and say like our whole channel gets taken down. They're like, you've been, you know, two strikes, you're out, everything, you're just totally booted off YouTube, your dangerous content, and we appealed once again, instantaneously rejected, and then we were left with no other options to complain. So we just took I didn't go to Twitter to get a movement going, but I tweeted out like, hey, this is what happened. Like, we got our channel taken down by YouTube, and enough people like yourself complained and retweeted and what got it into YouTube's eyes that they actually did something. Which is sad to think that the only way you can get YouTube, because like Nintendo, let me tell you, Nintendo did not care. Nintendo does not care. Nintendo was not upset with us. They don't care. Nintendo doesn't care about us. They did not. There's no strikes against us. Nintendo's never given us any issues. We're very respectful of Nintendo, and they have not caused us really any problems. but it was all YouTube just goofing up, and because we got enough social media traction, they put our channel back up, and Sonic came back too. So that
Nice.
was nice, but
As it should.
yeah, it's sad that YouTube requires you to cause a bunch of a furor on Twitter. That's your best resource.
So weird.
So small creators, you're just doomed. Sorry.
Yeah, that's so crazy. That's so crazy. I mean, I'm glad it's back. If anyone hasn't, I should have said this off the top, really, but you're right. If anyone hasn't watched the trailer for 1.5, even if you don't have a way to play this game, totally fine. Watch that trailer. Watch that
awesome.
12, 13 minutes of a trailer. It's so good. It's like a short film. It's amazing.
It's crazy. I was calling it Citizen Banjo. I mean, many sleepless nights were given to make that trailer. I've never seen them work harder than when they worked on that damn trailer. I was like, guys, are we done yet? Like, how long is this gonna be? So it was a heck of a trailer. So I would recommend. It's very good. You can watch all the trailers. They're all thrilling.
Yes.
Even the original one I made in 2019.
Oh, I went
that has
back
no
and watched.
footage
It's great. I went
Go
back and watched.
watch
Yeah.
it. It's a thing of beauty.
Yeah, I agree.
But
It's great. So if anyone wants to keep track, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Twitter, whatever it might be, where can everybody find everything Smash Remix and yourself?
Depends on, yeah, we have Smash Remix Twitter, Smash Remix YouTube. We have a GitHub. As far as like downloading Smash Remix, there's a special. Oh, Sinus is gonna kill me because I don't know. I don't know the URL. I'm trying to
we can
think.
post
What
it
is
in
the
the description,
URL?
right?
Yeah,
for-
we'll post it in the description for sure. It's
Yeah,
also I
post
think
it in the description for me so Sinus
Yeah.
doesn't kill me.
I think I
he
grabbed
made
it from
that
your
for us.
Twitter post.
Oh wait, I
and
got it,
stuff.
guys. I got it.
Okay.
It's smash64.online/remix.
Okay.
That's the best way to download it. Don't go anywhere else. Do not pay for Remix. If you pay for it, you're putting us on the line. We could get in trouble with Nintendo. We never want Remix to be sold. If you're getting sold to you, you're getting robbed. Nobody owns Remix. Like, you should get it for free. Never buy a cartridge with Remix on there. Get
Right.
an EverDrive. You know, it's always free. Never pay for Remix.
The EverDrive ran this thing beautifully. It was
That's
awesome.
what we designed it for. If it doesn't work on console, it's not real.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
our viewpoint.
It was awesome.
I totally just ripped my EverDrive out to like flaunt it, and then I realized I had Smash Remix running on my thing so I just ripped it out of my Live 64 to prove this point.
Ooh, fancy.
So there you go.
Yours is red. Mine's just gray. Fancy.
Yeah, I like the red.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This is very exciting. Check out Smash Remix if you have a chance to play it. Play it. At the very least, watch a lot of amazing videos that are out there. Watch the trailers and support this awesome group of creators because, as we said, it is just an insanely impressive feat and a whole lot of fun. So thanks again for coming on the show, and hopefully we'll chat to you soon. And good luck with the future endeavors and being the CEO, as you say.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right,
That's
everybody.
awesome.
Thank you so much for listening to Remember 64 this week. We are back to our regular scheduled programming of an N64 game on the next episode, and more mods to come in the rest of the year. So thanks, everyone, for listening. We will talk to you soon on Remember 64.